Call on Steve Cole, treasurer and member of the school committee, to join me up front, please. Stephen. We have an awful lot of work, and this man standing near me is probably one of the best workers we have. Steve took over a couple of years ago for Treasury, has done an amazing job getting people to join, appearing at your reunions, appearing at things to sign you up. He's gone above and beyond. What we want to do tonight is to resurrect the Alumni of the Year Award, which hasn't been presented for 10 years. So last, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, at a meeting I brought it up and they said, oh, we have that. So down the hall we went and found it hung by the principal's office, and sure enough, it hasn't been presented since 2006. So what did we do? We had another meeting and came up with a, I think, fantastic recipient, and I'll let Steve introduce that. Stephen.
Yes, thank you. We chose the class of 1953 as our recipient. The class has been unending in their support of high school graduates, their support of different programs, the media room, library, and I'd like to invite Ben Pluff, who has a speech to present. Carl Beal originally was going to represent the class, but Mr. Beal is unable to make it tonight because of health reasons. So, Mr. Pluff.
It gives me great pleasure to stand up here tonight and represent Carl Beal in the class of '53. I know that Carl would be here tonight if it was any way possible, and our hearts and prayers go with him. I hope I can do as well as he did, and it shouldn't be very hard because he typed his speech out. So, on behalf of the class of 1953, I want to thank the NHS Alumni Association for presenting the class of '53 the Alumnus of the Year Award for 2016. We are honored and humbled to be recognized for this distinguished award and joining the ranks of the prominent recipients who in the past have given so much of their time and service to the schools and the community. Raising money for a cause is nothing new to the class of '53. On August 4th, 1953, exactly 63 years ago tonight, our class held one of the largest variety shows the city of Newburyport has ever seen. The show was a result of a fundraising effort to help a seriously injured classmate, Richard Gould, who was disabled in a diving accident just 3 weeks after graduating from Newburyport High School. The stadium was filled with people who donated and came to see a variety of acts from local talent and to welcome a rising young star recruited from the Frolics, Tony Bennett. $8,000 was raised to help with Richard Gould's medical expenses. By the way, Richard Gould is still living as a quadriplegic in Natick, Mass., and his accomplishments are amazing. Richard acquired a doctorate in psychology from Boston University, followed by a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship in neuropsychology at Tufts. He had a clinical neuropsychological practice at Tufts Medical Center for about 30 years. Worked in Hawaii for a year or so, married a Japanese lady, and now works part-time from his condominium in Natick. The class of '53 is proud to have helped Richard Gould some 63 years ago. For the past 12 years, the class of '53 has conducted a special fundraiser for the high school library. The event began at our 50th reunion when the class donated $1,000 to the library in honor of librarian Virginia Bilnazes from our high school days. This initial donation was the beginning of the yearly fundraiser, which was highly successful and raised over $22,000. The early donations were used primarily for books, periodicals, and research materials. However, in recent years, the funds were used to purchase technology equipment, iPads, laptops, and e-books, as the library was transformed into a multifaceted library media center. I want to thank my incredible classmates for their outstanding support, amazing generosity, wonderful class spirit, and a belief that in giving to a worthy cause can make a difference. You never know what you can accomplish until you try it. Thank you, Carl Beal.
We'd now like to have classes who are here tonight come up and speak with a rep from their group. And I'm going to start with one of our favorite personalities from the city of Newburyport, who contacted me twice in Florida because I sent out a letter and I didn't include him on there. And he said, we are celebrating our 70th reunion this summer. Did you know? Totally skipped this, and I apologize to Byron Matthews, 1946. Byron, please come up.
I have to bring my treasurer because he's got all the money. Well, I want to say hello to everybody. Can you imagine 70 years that we graduated from this Mount Rural up here? And I was thinking earlier, what could I say? Well, I'd like to give you a little bit of history. And a lot of you are going to remember what I said because you're almost as old as we are, Leon and I. But in the 30s, does everybody remember the 30s? We had 4 events, 3 terrible events and 1 great one. 1934, the fire on the waterfront. Burned all the way from Gillis's gas station, where the highway stands now, all the way down to Leon's father's business down there on Merrimack Street.
Actually, down to Tictum Street.
Tictum Street, yeah. But and in 1936, we had a major flood upriver, and thank God for the mouth of the river, and it saved Newburyport, but we had water right up to Market Square. In 1937, Newburyport High School opened here on Mount Rural, which was a great day, as I recall. And you know, it cost $500,000 to build the original school and the stadium. It cost the taxpayers of Newburyport $250,000. And the WPA, does everybody remember the WPA? They kicked in $250,000, and we built the original high school. Can you imagine $500,000? When I left my job as mayor, the value of this high school, which included the addition that Al Zabriskie had put on, was at $14.5 million. Today, I dare say that it's around 23 or 4, with the addition of the new building that has been put here. In 1938, we had another disaster. a tremendous hurricane. And does anybody remember the hurricane? People down in Rhode Island remember it because it killed a lot of people down there. The water overran. They had a tidal wave in Rhode Island. So that the 30s, everybody complains about the heat. There was a lot of heat in those days in the 30s that were hotter than what we have now. But there was no air conditioning. There was nothing to keep you cool. And most people spent nights at the beach. So just a little history, if you will. I'd like to introduce the treasurer of our class. Leon and I kind of handle things for our 70th reunion, and I'm going to I'll let him tell you about our reunion. And Leon and I have been friends ever since we were born.
1 week apart.
1 week apart. He's older than I am by 1 week. And we both got our birthdays coming up this month.
23rd and 30th.
20.
We'll accept gifts.
Yeah. So he and I have been together. We went through the Kelly School together. We went through high school together. We both joined the service together. Leon went in the Army, I went in the Marine Corps. And we had good friends in our class who have departed. People like Jimmy Cohen, Franny O'Neill, Billy Sullivan, and so many more. That's the tough part, I guess, of getting older, is losing friendships. But I want you to meet my friend, Leon Chetas, who is one of the great people in Newburyport. Leon, go ahead.
The Newburyport High School class of 1946 is probably the class in existence. We just had our 70th reunion at the Sea Glass at Salisbury Beach. And it was doubly sweet because we had money in our checking account and we paid the full bill for everybody. And they really, really enjoyed themselves.
38.
There isn't much more I can say. Byron, my dearest friend, and these wonderful people that are in attendance tonight. I feel proud to be an alumnus of Newburyport High School. Great school, great city, great everything. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like to call on Bob Carroll, tell us about the happenings recently of 1956. Robert.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you for inviting me to this. It gives me pleasure to talk to you and let you know about our reunion, the reunion we just held this past week. Before I begin, though, I'd like to thank Mr. Chetas. He had a TV store on Pleasant Street, as probably all of you know, and we didn't have a TV in our home. And my father used to take me over to the TV store to watch the heavyweight fights on TV. So thank you, Mr. Chetas, for that. Yeah. But this past Saturday, we held our 60th reunion, and we held it with actually 3 other classes, the class of 53, 54, 55, and our class, class of 56. We had upwards of 140 people. We held it at the, at the Elks. Held it at the Elks, and it was a terrific affair. We had a great committee. The committee worked very hard, and we just had a great time. And everybody's asking about next year. So, but anyway, I wanted to go back 60 years with you, if I can, And I wanted to show you the Newburyport Daily News from the day after our graduation, which is pretty amazing. It's amazing for a couple of reasons. One is the width of the paper. They don't do that anymore, as you know. And the other thing that's really amazing is the amount of coverage they gave to the graduates. Across the top of the page are several people who won awards. Inside are another 10 pictures of 10 more people who won awards. And it gives a rundown of what the commencement speaker, Lieutenant Governor Whittier, said, along with other things. It was very comprehensive coverage of what was in there. And if you'll bear with me, I'd like to read a little bit of what Governor Whittier said. By the way, his name was Sumner G. Whittier. Sumner G. Whittier. Now, how many of our families have both a tunnel and a bridge named after them? Probably not very many. But, so anyway, this is the write-up, and I'm only going to read a couple of paragraphs. Give of thy talents, give of thy riches, and thou choose the wiser part. These words were spoken by Lieutenant Governor Sumner G. Whittier at commencement exercises for 149 seniors held last evening at Newburyport High School. Choosing for his subject, how do you survive an atomic bomb? Now, I think it's pretty ironic that 60 years from that point, 60 years later, the world is still worried about how you survive a bomb. So I guess not much has happened in 60 years. So, but anyway, it's a terrific newspaper, and I don't know if they still give the same kind of coverage that they did back then. So, anyway, thank you for inviting me, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Do we have anybody in the room from 1966? 1966. Yes. Yeah, please. Susan, how are you? So the bed race did not take precedence?
No, it ended and we came.
Good.
So you have two Susans from the 1966 class. I don't have a lot to say. Thank you to the Alumni Association for hosting this event every year. I was a member for a while, but life interferes and I'm back working, so c'est la vie. But thank you for inviting us here. We have our reunion coming up October 1st. It's going to be at the new Community Senior Center. We don't think of ourselves as senior citizens, so we'll see how it works out having it there. It's going to be, as I said, October 1st, and we're planning a fun event, I hope. And we're inviting classes from around us, which is what I'm hearing from other classes too, that it's fun to have the people that graduated before and right after you, because they were our friends in high school. So we have a goodly number of people coming from 65 and 67, so that will help. We are the class of the Vietnam War. We're the class of the Beatles. We're the class of the first bomb scares that were called into Newburyport High School. I think Mr. Doyle was teaching our first year here, probably started. So again, thank you for having us, and Sue and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Nice talk.
All right.
I also did want to mention that the gentleman that was just here with the newspaper, I brought in a donation today for NHS. It's a framed copy of a Newburyport Daily News paper, actual paper from 1894 that was made for me by my sister who graduated. It's on there, I forget what year, and my brother-in-law also. They both graduated, all three of us graduated from NHS. They made this for me in 1970, and I've had it ever since, and I want it to be somewhere displayed. Thank you very much. And I put the names on there. So, okay?
Is anyone in the room from 1976? Marsha Foley or whoever. They had a fabulous reunion. 76, because they had a fabulous reunion 10 years ago. First time they got together, and it was just a big hit. So, you're doing it again, Stephen? Can you tell us? I haven't heard. I haven't either.
That was about 6 years ago, I think.
It was an off reunion, yeah.
5 years ago. It was 35th.
35th, yeah. And it was the first time they tried to get people together, and they did a wonderful job thanks to the internet. They were very successful. 1981.
Want me to say a few things?
Yeah, I thought you. Yeah, that'd be good. Eagerly waiting.
No, just like everything I've learned as a school committee member and public servant, you always have something prepared. Just to talk a little bit about the times back in 1976. It was the bicentennial year of the United States. Dorothy Hamill, with that short and sassy hairstyle, won the women's figure skating gold medal. 180 degrees opposite of that, Patty Hearst was convicted and arrested for robbery. Billionaire Howard Hughes passed away at age 70. Apple Computer Company was created by Steve Jobs and Stephen Wozniak. The rock band Kiss performed its first concert. The band Queen released Bohemian Rhapsody. And the Mary Tyler Moore Show dominated the Emmy Awards. Women were first admitted to the U.S. Naval Academy. And the Summer Olympics began in Montreal, Canada, as the new Olympics will begin tomorrow. Tom Brokaw became the first news anchor of the Today Show, or the new anchor, the new anchor of the Today Show. And Jane Pauley became the co-anchor of the Today Show. Jimmy Carter was elected president of the United States. Fidel Castro became president of Cuba. Closer to home, the class of 1976 won Color Day with a 50s-themed effort featuring Fonzie in a spirit of '76. Sports night continued for the blue and white teams. A strong group of student journalists, fostered our school newspaper, The Masthead. And our own NHS alumni president, Dick Doyle, supervised our NHS yearbook staff to a great yearbook. Our clubs and activities were strong, as was our marching band under Mr. Allman, our color guard, our baton squad, and cheerleading, and we had a lot to cheer about. We had an undefeated Cape Ann League championship football team with the state's highest scoring offense, went on to win the state Division III Super Bowl, and led by Captain Mike Big Bird Toomey, and under legendary head coach Jim Stalin. In the spring, our baseball team captured a state championship as well, led by Captain Bob O'Brien under coach Bill Pettingill. And our other teams always brought their best to the field and court and were always rivals wherever they went. We also had renovations to the second floor of the high school, notably fixing up the library. Those were some of the things that were happening in 1976. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to know is when our class first got started in '72, '73, our class dues were $1. By the time we were seniors, they were up to $10, so that's about 1,000% increase, but still a lot cheaper than they are today. One last piece of housekeeping. I wasn't sure what size of crowd we'd have tonight, so I was able to obtain a couple of gift certificates from Michael's Harborside. So after we're all done here, I was going to sell raffle tickets for $1 a piece, and the money would go to the scholarship fund if anybody's interested. Thank you.
I think that brings us up to 1981. Mary Murray Sullivan, is she in the room? All right, then how about Linda Chase?
I failed public speaking when I was in high school, so I'm not going to say that.
Sure, we can erase that. We can erase that. This wipes out a lot, you know. If anyone else knows of various representation too for class reunions, that would be helpful. We know that the times are changing because we have people who are going on the internet, doing it that way. We also know that the very few send things out like the old classes do, but whatever, it's great to have NHS students get together, of course. We want to go around the room and see what class has the biggest turnout tonight. So we'll start down front. Just give me your year of graduation so I can write things down, starting with Steve.
Steve Gold, class of 1976.
Okay, Bob.
Class of 1955. Class of 56.
Okay. Next.
That's
1950.
1950.
Okay. 46. No, can't. The next row. I can't see you down there, it's so dark here. Behind Leo. 69. Okay. Speak right up, guys. Next. 66. Okay.
76. 62.
Uh-huh.
63.
Is that it for that side? Okay, down front, Joyce. 59. Janet, I skipped right over you.
47.
Okay. Marilyn?
59.
81. Janet?
59. 88. 62. 53.
53. Next. 51. 61. 53. That could be it. Who else do we have here? 63. 66. Is that everybody? We'll count them up later.
And you? And you?
Well, 59, of course. One of the things we have to be aware of, we've had some meetings from the last one to this one, and we have about 7 royal devoted people. And I went home the other night discouraged because people said, well, you're never going to get a group to help out. But if you go back over the list of people who were there, we have a person from each of the decades on our steering committee, from the 40s all the way up to the 80s, which is darn good, even though we may not have people that come out and actually take part in planning this. They do have an interest too. Before we close, is there anything we want to talk about the award, the school itself? Anyone wishing to speak, I should say. Okay, we really need help, folks, getting this together. It's very difficult for just a few people to put it on all the time. Now, the banners up here are put up in the 1st of September. And after tonight, they're taken down and they're changed from, the next numerals that fit, which is a great idea for the banners that are made. Usually they're used to sit in a closet all year long, and now they take them down and put up whatever's going to be next, 62 to 69, I think, or something. So that'll be very good. We thank you for coming. We hope you enjoy coming together, even though it's small. And we'd like to have you take a chance now. We need help, my voice is going, to turn to the second page. stand up proudly and get on with our alma mater. Jane, I think you'd be great to lead that. If you need the words, they're inside, but we don't need the words. We don't need the words. All hail. All hail to each son and daughter who has honored thee of old. Young hearts with the old united, all around in loyal tie, to Newburyport High School, let us raise our voices high. Onward, forward, onward, forward, onward, forward, Newburyport High School, hail, all hail, all hail to the glorious future that the coming year shall bring. We pledge to thee our devotion and the praising chorus sing. Thy green iron walls have sheltered classes who have brought thee fame. May we carry on the banner and be worthy of thy name. Enjoy yourself, thank you, and there's refreshments up back.
So, why was it important for you to make a speech here at the high school today?
Well, we have usually a good turnout for once a year our alumni, and we want to have them know we appreciate their attendance. And if they do have an alumni association, some people don't know that. So it's PR, and you guys will help put that out too. And times are changing. Years ago, we had hundreds of people. Whether it's the night or the time of year, we don't know. But we had to do that to keep it going. Even if it's only a few of us that do all the work, we have to do that.
However, I can't think of a favorite memory, but we were discussing something earlier about, I don't know how appropriate that this is, but how we hated taking showers after gym. And I could go on about that, but I don't think this is the time or place. But that's what I seem to remember at the moment. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to have to answer this question. I bet you have a better memory, Leon, of a football game. Do you remember a football game, a favorite memory?
Well, I played in 1946, and I remember intercepting a pass in the Methuen game and running, getting tackled on the 5-yard line. That was my biggest thrill. I remember the first night before the season started, we had a practice. It was in the evening. And we went to World War Memorial Stadium, and they gave us these green jerseys. And that was just, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. It was just so thrilling. I just loved it, loved it. I loved my high school. Newburyport is just the gem of the ocean, really. It's a great town, wonderful people, a lot of good camaraderie, and it's just, I just can't express any more than that. But I will tell you something. When my time comes to go, I got all the bases loaded. I have a son who's a funeral director, a son who's a Greek Orthodox priest, and a son who has an insurance agency. So I am ready.
But don't go too soon.
And that's all I have to say.
Wonderful. Thank you two so much.
I wish I could think of a better memory. There was so much to...
That's okay. That was wonderful. Thank you. All right, so my question to you is, what is the best part about coming back for this reunion here today?
Well, I'm a Newburyport native, and I love Newburyport, and I live a block away from the high school, and I just love seeing my old friends, and the school meant so much to me that I'm a part of the Alumni Association, and I just wish we could develop more of an interest in people participating, because it's such an important part of people's lives. The school has really meant so much to so many people that I just really hope it increases in numbers. No, it's a beautiful school, and we have a lot of traditions that we're very proud of. Yeah.
Thank you so much.